Heyo, welcome everyone to episode 31 of Today in the Scene. I'm Joe with Indie Arcade Wave, and this is my co-host Dylan from Galactic Battleground.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
This week we're going to explore a new beat-'em-up platformer called Street Cleaner. This game is packed with great game design, art, challenging levels, and killer synthwave music. Joined by the creators, Jesse and Brooks. How are you guys doing today?
Feeling good.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you guys are a pretty interesting duo to be putting a game together. I guess we're going to dive into Street Cleaner and the music a little bit first, because that's how Dylan at least knew you before everything. And then I found you guys through the game. We'll talk about that second. So I just want you guys to introduce yourselves first off. Who are Brooks and Jesse?
So I'm Brooks. I am the programmer and artist, developer, designer of Creaky Games.
I am Jesse. I am um, I produce and perform music under the name Street Cleaner, and I'm a part of Creaky Lantern Games. I've been doing the Creaky Lantern Games thing a little bit longer than the Street Cleaner thing, and I'd like to say that Street Cleaner was kind of born from my collaboration with Brooks.
Awesome. And how did you kind of come up with this alias with Street Cleaner prior to Creaky Lantern Games?
Worked with Brooks on a game in 2011?
Yeah.
Brooks had was working on a game called Eternum for Xbox Live Indie Games, XBLIG, and he brought me on to help with music, and I wrote a lot of music for that game. I did the soundtrack for that game, and it was a really neat experience. Versus a lot of collaborations that are like online. Brooks and I at the time had the ability to collaborate in person, and so working, we had our desks that were opposite each other, and so being able to work back to back there on the game, the soundtrack, and me plugging away on the music side, and him working on the art and programming and all that on the other side was really a unique experience. And through that I had we talk about stuff, and I was always talking about how I always wanted to write movie soundtracks, and Brooks was a big catalyst in kind of pushing me forward into, well, just do it. Why are you waiting? Just do it. And
Yeah, why not?
yeah, and I was like,
let
oh,
other people be your destiny.
yeah, pretty much. And so I didn't have a movie, so I had to come up with a movie, and we just talked about it, and my music kind of already lended itself to a little bit of that retro aesthetic, and so we were like, hey, let's, it'd be neat to do like an 80s film. I'll do a soundtrack to an 80s film. Brooks helped me workshop the story, the names, the imagery. He handled the visual side of the project, and I was writing the music, and then and that's where the first album came from. It was just a one-off at the time. It was just called Street Cleaner, and it was a vigilante story, and it and this is so far back that I'd say the synthwave movement wasn't really in full swing yet, or it had just started. So I had inadvertently joined a budding movement that was starting to blossom, and so being able to be one of the earlier producers in that throwback synthwave type cinematic music thing was a real how do I say it? Like, it wasn't intentional. It just kind of happened, And so from there, things really blew up, and you have to write a sequel, right? So it's the, and then Brooks and I just kept on working on more stuff, more things, we work on each other's projects, published or not, we're always working on something. And I think that we complement each other really well creatively. And, even sometimes we're the voice that the other person doesn't necessarily want to hear, but that's all in good, that's the best part of a creative process is
That is collaboration.
that is collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you just kind of jumped into making synthwave music and didn't really know that it was growing or anything, and then found the scene kind of budding with you, which is kind of what happened with us too. Is we made this indie game, we're like, let's put it in an arcade cabinet before we even really knew there were games being made for arcade cabinets, and within 6 months we had met 5 or 6 other people that were making them. I think that's really cool that you guys have been working together as long as you have, and you're helping each other advance through what you want to do. I'm kind of curious, Brooks, as to what your experience is with making video games, because I know Jesse kind of went the music route. What have you worked on before Street Cleaner?
Like Jesse mentioned, I did make one game for the Xbox 360 called Eternum. It's a kind of a bullet hell cute 'em up, in the style of Toho. Before that, just a lot of little projects. It's the kind of thing where everyone that makes video games, you just make stuff at first, and all your ideas are way too big, right? So
Dreaming is easy.
yeah. So
Executing is hard.
you're working on all these grand designs, and finally I said to myself, I need to finish something, because that's the key. So I pared down to this one little project to make shoot 'em up, cut down the spec as much as I could, and finally finished the project. So that was when I was hooked.
Yeah, it went over great. I mean, we were asked to do a panel at the Toho convention in Orange County or Anaheim.
Anaheim, yeah.
Yeah, and the I can't really speak to charts in Japan, but we were doing really well in Japan.
Yeah, got a little call out in Famitsu. That was cool.
When you started from a blank slate, did music, art, or gameplay come first when you were developing the game Street Cleaner?
For Street Cleaner, the video game, I think it was concept. I think we're always throwing ideas at each other, and I think
Can
that's
I take this one? Can I take
yeah,
this
yeah, please.
Okay, so because the whole Street Cleaner project was based on the idea of a movie, an '80s movie, an '80s blockbuster, a vigilante film that doesn't exist, right? So I had this joke idea that I was kind of playing with, where in the '80s, when they had a blockbuster movie like that, they would have just wanted to make money however they could, extra money. So they would have sold the rights to the video game to whatever company came to them with a bundle of cash, right? The classic story of LJN and all that. So I was messing around and did like a little pixel art scene of what I imagined the video game version of the Street Cleaner movie would have been. And it was, the thing where they would have got the license and then taken total liberty with it. So the resulting video game would have been nothing like the movie that it was based on.
Yeah, you're talking kind of like ET.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
All
yeah.
of them.
Yeah, I don't like X-Men, for example, for NES
Right.
is a god awful game, and I mean, but you look at the cover and you look at the amazing artwork of Wolverine ripping through the machines and just blah, and it's so colorful, and you're like, wow, and you get it home and you play it and you're like, wait, what? How come I can't use his claws? Why doesn't his health regenerate? Like, what's going on right now? But the difference is Street Cleaner, the video game, is really, really good. It's really good.
Yeah, the gameplay videos look awesome. I'm very excited to play it.
So that's the basis. I took this joke idea of there would have been a video game for this movie that didn't exist, and we made the video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys had a ton of fun with it, and I know it's got it's kind of a mashup of multiple different kinds of games. I mean, it's got like the beat 'em up vibe, but it's also got the platformer vibe, and I'm wondering what classic games you guys drew inspiration from to create the game.
Oh,
Brooks.
there's a whole bunch, but I think my primary influence when I first started was obviously the Batman video game for NES,
The Sunsoft Batman.
the Sunsoft Batman.
Yep.
Yeah, and and then also Ninja Gaiden, obviously, Shatterhand. What's really funny is somebody had compared it to Project Vice Project Doom, and neither Brooks or I had ever seen or played that game before. And so I went and I looked at it and I was like, oh, well, I could totally see that. Like, it's almost like, like we hadn't played that game before, but yet somehow the game that we were making was oddly, in line with that as far as, the platforming, beat 'em up,
Well, late era NES platformer games, the kind of darker ones, the comic inspired ones or whatever, they all had kind of a zeitgeist of using the dark palettes and how they went about gameplay, and so we're kind of playing off of that. So yeah, the mishmash of Batman, Ninja Gaiden, Shatterhand,
Castlevania.
those are the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see that coming through in the game 100%. It really does have the vibe of like the Ninja Gaiden.
Al, that's the best news. Thank you.
For real.
So with all the lines of like art direction and like deciphering what colors to use in the palette, I know you referenced all those other games you just talked about, but any other ones that you can think of at the top of your head that pushed forward with the art style?
Obviously, like you really got to respect what Yacht Club was able to do with Shovel Knight. They, they took a lot of the constraints of the NES color palette and pixel density and stuff like that, and were able to make a authentic feeling NES game using, modern techniques and stuff like that, and so that obviously, is an influence. I feel like a lot of, I'm doing air quotes here, like pixel games, or they don't really stick to any uh, um, rule set, and they use all sorts of sprite scaling and moving sprites. What do you call that? Sprite rotation, and stuff like that. That would not have been available. I mean, you didn't even get pixel scaling until like Neo Geo. You know what I mean? So to do that kind of stuff, it's not actually representing any type of hardware. It's more of an easier way to animate things. And so Brooks didn't take any real shortcuts when animating things. So you're not going to see sprites rotating. You're not going to see things zooming in and out. Like so they do, but the way that a Nintendo would have done them, not the way that modern machines would just blow things up. And if that makes any sense. Hopefully I'm using the right verbiage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's a fun experience, like deciding to make specifically a game using the NES style, because of like limitations are one of your greatest assets, I think, when working on an art project. Because like with the NES, the palette is so specific and also so recognizable, and working within those limitations and using those colors, like you have to put a lot into it to get a lot out of it.
And also, like, I wrote all the music in Famitracker, so all of the music in the game can natively play on NES hardware. If like, and anybody who gets the album on Bandcamp gets all of the uh, NSF files are on part of the download on Bandcamp. So anybody who grabs the soundtrack is going to get the NSF files. So if you have a flash cart, you can play the entire soundtrack on an NES. Just because and that's not something that we had to do. I could have done, like I could have used samples or some VST plugins in Fruit FL Studios or Ableton or something. But I decided, like, hey, it'll be more work, it'll be more difficult, but the end result is just going to have that little extra layer of authenticity, and I'm not disparaging anybody who doesn't do that. Like, more power to however you do it. Like it's all about the outcome, not about the tools being used. But in this specific instance, I made we made the decision that it would probably be best to use, Famitracker and actually write NSF songs. That doesn't mean that I didn't kind of break out the mold a little bit and use a couple additional channels that may not have been, realistically available. Sometimes I'd add a little channel just to get a little harmony or something like that you wouldn't have gotten in Mario or something. But in the end result is pretty authentic sounding, and hopefully, it complements the gameplay as well.
But I think
So that
it does still adhere to the Konami extra chip, right? So it would be like the Castlevania 3
yeah, yeah,
Japanese soundtrack.
yep,
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing is passion. You guys are going for authenticity, and you're not necessarily doing it the easiest way, but you're doing it the way that you feel it should be done. You're not trying to shortcut it or get anything done really quick. And I feel like you guys would be good people to give advice on this, as not necessarily new developers, but developers that are kind of publishing this game on Steam for the first time. What advice would you guys have for indie devs that are interested in publishing a game? Anywhere in the process, whether it be starting, making the music, making the game, the art, or even just who to go through. Like, do you go through Xbox? Do you go through PlayStation? Do you go through Steam? What path do you think people should take that have those questions?
So like I said before, when I was talking about a tournament, like the biggest advice I always give to people is you're thinking too big. Whatever you're thinking, it's too much. You need to crush that down. You need to get it down to like the barest minimum that you can if you want to, because your goal should be to complete things, because that's the only way you're really going to learn is finishing projects, not building out as long as you can to make it perfect, because nothing's ever going to be perfect. So finishing a project is the ultimate goal, I think.
yeah. It's
the best
that
way to learn.
Yeah, the old saying is, a good artist can come up with a lot of ideas, but a great artist ships. A great artist is somebody who ships the product, or ships the game, or finishes the painting, that kind of thing. And so I would say, like, yeah, try to set yourself up to finish, like to have an end goal. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like that, Brooks.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, just looking at it, you talk about like dreaming big and having all these ideas, but then crunch it down. So like build the skeleton, make it as simple as you want. You can always expand on the core and make it more, but when you try and do so many things, nothing gets finished, and then you just give up on the project because it's too much work.
Yep. And the finishing thing is the, like, if you're always only starting things, you get really good at starting stuff. You need to be good at finishing things, getting them out the door, getting them out there.
Yeah.
Execution.
And also, like, if I were to give any advice, like in any creative thing, it would be don't take any shortcuts, and don't be afraid to delay things and to push things back. I don't make many announcements, like, if I've, like, just personally, like, I see all sorts of artists all the time announcing working on big things, and oh, I got this, and that kind of stuff. But then months, years go by, and it's like, what happened to that big thing? Don't announce things, do things. The good feeling of being able to release something, and put it out there should be enough. But don't take shortcuts. Like, if you're not in it, if you're in it to take the easy route, you're going to end up with the same output as everybody else. The one thing that'll set you apart from other people is to go that extra little bit, to do that extra little push. I mean, even down, like, I got this whole spiel, and I'm not going to give you the whole thing, but about merch. Last year I played a bazillion shows. I got to tour all over the country, and it was amazing. It was awesome. It was a real dream come true. And so you set up your merch next to, the other bands and stuff, and you get to see what other people have for merch. And when you look over at their table and they have T-shirt mart, Gildan, heavy cotton, shirts with a heat transfer, on it, versus like my shirt, which is going to be like a next level cotton blend with a several color silk screen, or what do they call that dye that I started using where it just etches, and then you can feel the difference between the shirts. The colors pop on one, the other one is going to come off in the washing machine, that kind of thing. Like, yeah, it costs me more and my overhead is lower, and I'm going to make less money per shirt, But in the end, the people that get my shirts are going to be stoked about them. They're going to be comfortable in them. They're not going to turn into midriffs when you put them in the dryer. They're, like, they're going to look great after 100 washes, and they're going to be happy with the $20 they spent.
They're going to be rocking that shirt for 10 years.
Exactly, and you want them to be like that with your game too. You want people to see the little things. Brooks showed me something, and I'm going to bring up another artist here, Cognac.
Yeah.
Brooks showed me something a long time ago. If you look at the menus of every game that he has put together, the menu is a formality, right? Like you just have the menu to get to the game, to choose whatever, save, load, whatever, into the game. But every time you, like, it's not just an arrow, it's something, that's pointing to the thing in the menu. And the menu isn't just a boring word, it's a neat, like, handcrafted little, like, a font, and then it bounces or will shake a little bit, like the arrow, the indicator will point to load, and load will do like a little jiggle or something, like there's movement, there's this extra little effort put into every little thing, and that means a lot in the long run. In the grand scope of things, it took them more work and more time to do that, but in the end, it really stands out compared to anybody else.
All right, so
Sorry, I was on my horse there for a minute.
you're good. Jesse, this is your first game you're publishing, right?
This is yeah, I guess.
Okay, so Brooks already has one out. You're going to be publishing your first game, you guess. I want to know, what was your guys' favorite part of creating this game? What memory sticks out to you after the months and maybe even years you've been working on it?
What sticks out?
Actually, seeing people, like, because later on towards the end here, a couple months ago, we brought on a couple friends to do some testing, because testing a game it's a monster job, but it's got to be
very
done.
important. Takes forever.
So we got on a couple people that we knew were gamers, that had not played it before, because that's one of the most valuable things, is seeing how people approach it blind, completely blank, knowing nothing about it, and observing every little thing they do, to just starting the game, what they do in the menus, even before they get into the game, and then what they do and playing with it. So finally, I think seeing people get to a pretty finished product and actually play through it, I think, is always magical, because when you're making a game and you get a couple years into development on it, and you get to the end, you kind of forget how you've gotten to where you are over the course of it, and seeing other people experience it and realizing what you've made is fantastic, I think.
The feeling of, holy shit, it works.
Yeah, I mean,
and just remembering what you've done and where you've gotten to, all the things that you've forgotten along the way.
Yeah, I think there's been a few holy shit moments where, I gotta say, like, the dudes we that are testing the game are like the raddest people. I should say the people that are testing the game are the raddest people. But
shout outs to Miles and Jake.
Yeah, Miles, Jake,
Michael.
Michael, Nate, and then the earlier on testers as well, Elliot, Zoe, and forgive me, I'm horrible with names. She's in the credits. Anyways, so Brooks obviously has put more time into playing this game than anybody. I'm right behind him. I've played this game constantly for in one form or another for the last 2 years, almost every day, and and seeing it evolve and change and stuff, and I get to the point where I get kind of cocky about like there's certain levels that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the best at this. Nope, I know there's one level that I still think I'm better at Brooks at, and like that kind of thing. But then when you watch somebody who only has a couple hours on the game discover something that you hadn't discovered in the last 150 hours of playing that game, and something really simple like dive kicking a certain area to launch you up into a platform, skipping an entire like platforming puzzle type thing. And it's just like, oh my god, I never even thought to do that. That never even occurred to me to do that, because I got to witness the evolution of that platforming puzzle, and had always gone about it one way, and then to see somebody who is coming into the finished product and just bloop. And so it's like a discussion that Brooks and I had to have, like, okay, so like should we nip that in the bud, or should that still exist for as like a gift to speedrunners, like should it stay in the game, and so it's a give or take on a few different things, how we want people to play the game, and if somebody and a lot of the times it was like, well, shit, if they can find it, then they can have it, like if they can find that I don't want to say exploit, but that tactic, if they use that, then that's theirs to have.
The alternate route that you didn't realize could be taken.
Yeah. And then birthed from that is this whole new, well, crap, now that we know that that's possible, how can we integrate that into improving the game and modifying a puzzle later on, or not a puzzle, but a platforming section, something where you have to time jumps or something, and yeah.
So with all this talk about the game, when and where can we play this game?
It's being evaluated right now by Steam. So it in with all good luck, by the time this airs, it should be out.
And if not, soon afterwards.
Oh yeah. It's
absolutely
sitting there
beginning
right on
in
the edge.
January, as soon as we get it approved.
Gotcha. And where is that going to be available?
Steam, right?
Yeah, starting with Steam.
Okay.
Are you guys planning on going anywhere else, or?
We're working on console releases for later dates.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So anybody that can get to Steam will be able to play it first, basically, is what you're saying.
That's yeah. You're gonna want to get it on Steam.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on here. Before we wrap everything up, I just want you to shout out your social medias, whether they be personal, Street Cleaner the musician, or Street Cleaner the game. Let us know where people can find you.
All right, so Facebook, Street Cleaner. If you search that, you'll find me. Instagram, Street Cleaner 82. Twitter, Street Cleaner 82. I'm on Twitter more than anything else, I think. If you want to believe that Street Cleaner is some really mysterious, awesome guy, then don't follow me on social media. If you want to find out that I'm just a nerd, then by all means, hit me up on Twitter. Yeah, and Creaky. Well, I'll let Brooks do his thing.
Yep. So I'm Brooks Bishop on Twitter, just exactly my name. I mostly just use Twitter, but then I've also, since we're Creaky Lantern Games, we've got creakylantern.com. That should get you all the information you need about our games, where to get them, all that stuff.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, Brooks and Jesse, for coming on here. It was awesome talking about the game. Hopefully it will be out in the next week or two here. It should be pretty soon, early January. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Indie Arcade Wave, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, whether you're listening to the podcast or on YouTube. And until next time, peace.